not only minimizing wetlands, but then how do you get from point A to point B? Typically, the shortest distance is also often the least cost or the most cost effective. So we try to minimize the distance, maximize the amount of fill, and minimize wetland impacts. And ultimately, what that resulted in is an assessment of 20 different alignments, and this particular piece provided the most direct route for the least cost with the least environmental impacts. It's approximately 3/4 of a mile, just under 4,000 linear feet. It is a 2-lane paved roadway at grade, which means on the existing surface, and then transitions as we raise up to the bridge and comes down the other side. That bridge provides 25-foot clear at mean high water. So when the water's the highest in the creek, we still have 25-foot clear before you would hit your head on the girders of the bridge. So when it's low water, you got about 30 feet. There are more details on the back. In the middle, you'll see a profile of the bridge if you want to take a look at the particular details. Other aspects of the bridge, in order to minimize impacts, is the abutments, or that which the bridge is founded on, were moved out to the edge, outside of the water, and then we have 2 piers in the middle. A typical roadway section, approximately 40 feet. Again, that was designed in a way to, originally was 60 feet. The minimum, in order to minimize the cost of the project, it has 2 12-foot travel lanes with 2 8-foot shoulders. The reason being is, as I mentioned to you before, if we needed to accommodate 2 15-foot wide truck movements, we could do that. Still have enough safety of 3-foot shoulders, but more importantly, ultimately, there will be a breakdown on this roadway. And what you need to do in order to maintain efficient movement is we'll take the 1 12-foot travel lane and slide that truck, 10-foot wide truck or otherwise, off to the shoulder, thereby leaving still 2 12-foot travel lanes while they correct the issue with that particular truck. Now, when you go up on the bridge, this is the approach. As we head up to the bridge, you'll see that we're on what's known as retained fill. The idea, again, if we would have used a slope program, we would have been impacting more wetlands, and the permitting agencies would not have approved the project due to impacts on wetlands. So we had to put a retaining wall to minimize the distance. Now we're heading up, and ultimately we get up onto the bridge. Again, another cost-saving program that was put together. If we still have our 2-foot travel lanes, but we only have our 2 3-foot shoulders. Why? If we have a breakdown on the bridge, we minimize the cost. The Port Corporation operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They would get out, utilizing their facilities, and move that truck down off the bridge, because the bridge is only about 490 feet, and it's from one side to the other. So wherever the truck broke down, they pull it down off the bridge, onto the buffer, and then they would allow themselves to come through. So again, as you can hear, there's been methods throughout the last 2 years of how we minimize the overall development cost. And again, that's in the back, not too bad. To give you an idea of the 2 pile-supported structures, the 25-foot minimum clearance, and how the project stays outside of the channel, navigated channel of Mantua Creek. And that's what we will look like approximately 24 to 30 months from now. It won't be quite as dark with the sun. One of the key aspects of the development is, again, we've tried to minimize future truck traffic. We also are cognizant of noise and visual and other potential nuisances. There is a green buffer that comes all the way around the property. That green buffer is approximately 80 feet wide, and that buffer will go from the rail all the way up to the waterfront and connect with this mixed-use redevelopment parcel that the Borough of Paulsboro is leading that process. This buffer will be worked with the borough, and therefore yourselves, to come up with the correct type of design that you'd like. It can be a noise wall, it can be a linear park, it can be a number of different ideas that the team has. Real quickly, I would like to close. I've gone a little bit long. Part of what you need to do when you develop a project like this is you do have impacts. You must avoid what you can, and what you do impact, you must then minimize and also then mitigate for. So we've got 3 different kinds of mitigation strategies that we're working with the resource agencies. Ultimately, the roadway comes through here. If you recall, we'll be mitigating through the recreation of intertidal and wetlands areas on the east side of Mantua Creek.